Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day here in Bronie's world, this 17th day of December 2024 here in Australia. It's very, very hot and cold where Ben is. But anyway, guys, now before Ben gets into the topic, because I want to give you a little bit of a background to this topic, and it was a topic that was sent through to me from someone. However, it also ties in to a heartbreaking event that happened this week. My daughter's best friend passed away from liver failure, and it was quite sudden, and it's a long story. But as I was saying to Ben, he asked me when Ben and I were trying to help him, but it was too late by the time help was asked. But he was a very fit young man. He was very active. He went to the gym. You could not have seen or met a more healthier guy, so it seemed. I can tell you he did eat things that he probably shouldn't have, but that's beside the point. He was one of those modern day young folks, he was only 39, who was very active, very into marathon running, cycling, gyms, and so forth. And when I was talking to Ben about this, just before we hit the recording, he wanted to go on to that, to talk about that very thing. And it so happens that Caroline Thomas had also wanted to talk about people who go to the gym, work out a lot, and who are asking for more nutritional advice for people who are weightlifting and working out and stuff. So with no further ado, Ben, when I interrupted you before we pressed record, I will now hand it over to you to share your insight with us.
Okay, so a couple things come to mind when you bring that up. And I remember talking to a friend of mine who when the whole viral thing happened a few years ago, his cousin died. And I was telling him how, the only people who get sick are people who are metabolically dysfunctional. The only people who get really sick. You might get a little colder. You might get a little effect from the virus. That last virus, make no mistake about it, mostly affected people, especially the people who died, who were metabolically compromised. Keep that in the back of your mind. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay. And I remember talking to my buddy, and he was like, "Oh, my cousin, he died, and he ran marathons, and he was in really good shape, and he died." He was trying to argue with me how serious this viral infection was, and my position was, as you may know, because I was not shy about it, was that it was BS. It was not as serious. It was a very mild virus. The ones people who were affected were people who were just metabolically dysfunctional, and the metabolic dysfunction largely came from food. So in many ways, this whole viral thing that happened was a food problem. Let me say it again. It was a food problem in many ways, because it's food that disrupts our metabolism. And then when you brought up what you just said, this gentleman was in good shape. He went to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that. I want everybody to understand in this day of RFK and his six-pack abs and doing his somersaults and his chin-ups, being healthy is not going to the gym. Your six-pack abs are not a reflection of your health. Your six-pack abs are not a reflection of your health. Your six-pack abs are not a reflection of your health. I said 3 times because it's so important. We have this idea in our head, oh, he had muscles. He does chin-ups. He's in great shape. No, that is not that's not the indicator of health. It's great to have muscles, but that's not what makes you healthy or not healthy. Athletes drop dead of heart attacks all the time, and they have great big biceps and six-pack abs. In fact, if you're going to the gym and not taking care of your nutrition and your metabolism, you're actually putting a burden on your body that's going to accelerate the rate of your deterioration and ultimately your ultimate demise. Do you understand what I'm saying? We want to get this out of our heads, that a six-pack ab is no more a reflection of your health than lipstick is a reflection of your beauty. We have this superficial attitude about what health really is and what beauty really is. We look at superficiality. It's great to have a six-pack ab, but the signals that a six-pack ab, I'm using that as a symbol, but your biceps or your tight butt or your quadriceps or whatever it is, we have this idea in our head that when somebody has a physique, a shape, and muscular development that is attractive, that means health. It does not mean health. So we want to get that out of our heads. I've been working out with weights my whole life, actually since I was 13 years old. I was lifting weights, and I still do, and I love it. And I think it's very important to be strong, especially as you get older. But it is not the indicator of health. And we want to get that out of our heads. Health is about metabolism. We are metabolically unhealthy as a culture in your country and in our country. What is metabolism? Metabolism is a general term that refers to the sum of the chemical reactions in the body. Chemical reactions in the body occur in two types. You have chemical reactions that are involved in breaking things down, and you have chemical reactions that are involved in building things up. Breaking things down is called catabolism, C-A-T, catabolism. Building things up is called anabolism, A-N-A, anabolism, like anabolic steroids. Some of you may have heard of that term, anabolic steroids, building steroids. There are plenty of people in the gym who are doing anabolic steroids. They got big old muscles, six-pack abs, great pecs and delts and traps. That doesn't mean they're healthy. They may or may not have diabetes. They may or may not have heart disease. They may or may not be on the road to cancer, and their traps and their pecs and their biceps have nothing to do with it. It's the anabolism plus catabolism or metabolism. Anabolism building up, catabolism building up or breaking down. The sum total equals metabolism. Metabolism is the sum total of biochemical reactions, which in essence are how the body turns food into energy. That's the key to metabolism, how the body turns food into energy. All chemical reactions require energy, and that energy is derived from food. So metabolism is dependent on how food gets converted into energy. Today, we have a serious problem in all over the Western world. And that problem is we are drowning our body in energy that cannot be used. Because in order for the body to use energy, two factors have to be present. Number one, energy has to be coming into the body. No problem there. We got plenty of energy coming into the body. Nobody's starving here. When was the last time you saw somebody starving, Bronie? Nobody's starving here. Number two, that energy has to be channeled into biochemistry. Just energy isn't enough. The energy has to be channeled into biochemistry. Today we have a problem. By today, I mean the last maybe 20 to 50, maybe 100 years or so. We have a problem we never had before. And that is we have a food supply that is wonderful at delivering energy, but not so wonderful at helping the body utilize that energy. So we're drowning in energy. I think I probably said this before, I'll say it again. It's like trying to drink water out of a fire hose. We're saturating our body with energy that the body cannot use. Why? Because the energy, which comes in the form of calories represents energy, is delivered to us in abundance through protein, fat, and carbohydrates. We call that macronutrition. Protein, fats, and carbohydrates provide the macronutrition. That's the energy, that's the calories. Protein is calories, about 3 or 4 calories per gram in protein, something like that. There's like 9 or 10 calories per gram of fat, and there's like 7 or 8 calories. These are approximate numbers per gram in carbohydrates, something along those lines. So protein, fat, and carbohydrates provide the energy, but it's the vitamins and the minerals and the amino acids and the fatty acids, the micronutrients that carry the energy. Today we have a problem that we hadn't had until just very recently. Again, by today I mean the last 100 years or so, where we have created a food supply that is incredible at delivering energy, but not incredible at delivering the micronutrients that carry the energy. Great at delivering the fats and the carbs, and to a certain extent the protein that delivers the energy, but not so great at delivering the micronutrients. This is, by the way, one of Dr. Wallach's, or this was Dr. Wallach's main understanding as a kid. He said, we're giving the animals the micronutrients, but the people aren't getting the micronutrients. This is what longevity, how longevity started, is a micro, and it's what longevity is, called the mighty 90 essential nutrients, or 90 for life. They're the micronutrients. Longevity doesn't really provide the macronutrients, some protein, but mostly it's about the micronutrients, the carriers. So over the last 100 years, because, well, let me just digress real quickly. The brain, because it was always throughout history, millennia, hundreds of thousands of years really, was always deficient. The human body was always deficient in energy. Starvation was a thing. Up until 100 years ago, 200 years ago, starvation was a thing. So the brain evolved through natural selection to become a one-pointed calorie hunting system, looking for calories wherever it could find it. And not only that, but secreting pleasure chemicals, happy chemicals, reward chemicals in response to finding those calories. Think about it. It makes sense, doesn't it? If the body wants you to have calories, it'll create a system where you're going to get happy when the calories are found. So unscrupulous marketers and corporate interests have created a food supply that will make people happy. So they'll keep buying. You're not going to buy if you're not happy. So they created a food supply that will satisfy the happiness needs. There's no happiness needs associated with micronutrients, so those aren't important. There's happiness that's associated with protein and fats and carbs, with calories. So those who are providing the food, and what's even worse, the medical authorities that we trust, the government authorities that we trust, are complicit with the food interests who are supplying the calories in abundance and creating a calorie addicted population. So you have the American Diabetes Association and the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Association saying things like, oh, you can drink all the Coca-Cola you want. You could eat all the pizza you want. You should eat lots of cereal and lots of grains, because they know good and well that the calories, the Coca-Cola and the bread and the pizza and the cereal, etc., are going to make people happy, and they're going to keep buying. They're not saying go ahead and eat your cornflakes and your pizza and your bread and your pasta because they're good for you. They're saying it because they're in bed with the corporate interests who are providing the cheap calories. The head of the FDA, I think it was, no, it wasn't the head of the FDA, it was some medical authority, I forgot her name. She said that eating disorders and obesity and overeating have nothing to do with willpower. They're strictly biochemical. And you need Ozempic in order to control that. She literally said this on 60 Minutes, which is a news show here in the United States. She literally said that. And that's their position. Now, she didn't tell you that she's being funded and being literally paid by Pfizer and by the drug companies and by the food supply companies. She didn't say that. In fact, there are no conflict of interest rules between the medical authorities and the people doing the studies and the food companies and the drug companies. There's no conflict of interest. It's not legal. They can do this. They can be paid in order to do this. They literally can be paid by the food companies and the lobbying groups, the doctors, the researchers at Harvard, the people we are all going to take care of our blood sugar problems, which is why I always say, when you have a lifestyle issue, a metabolic issue, which is most of our issues on the triangle of disease, you don't need a doctor. You don't want to go to a doctor. And I'm not saying this to knock on doctors. They're good people, as I've said many, many times. This is our job, our responsibility. So we have created a food supply that is heavy on the calories, heavy on the energy for economic interests, not for health interests. This creates a situation where we're trying to drink water out of a fire hose. We're frying our circuits. Our bodies are frying out from too much energy that cannot be used. Think about trying to drive electrical energy into a wire that can't handle that energy. You're going to burn out the wire. You're going to short circuit. That's what's happening to us. We are metabolically short-circuiting, particularly the mitochondria, which are the literal structures inside a cell that turn the food into the energy. You've all heard the term mitochondria, and I don't want to get too much into what they are, although it's quite amazing how they work. But really, food is shuttled into one part of the electrical energy in food is delivered to one side of the mitochondria, and ATP, which is known as energy currency, comes out the other end. It's very simplistic, but that's essentially what's happening because so much energy is coming in, the mitochondria are frying out. They're burning up. And that's what's happening to us. And you're going to start to hear, by the way, about mitochondrial disease. You may have already heard about mitochondrial disease. That's now the big thing in anti-aging medicine is to work with the mitochondria. Well, you don't need to really work with the mitochondria, except you need to deliver micronutrients, and you need to stop the flow, the intense flow of energy into the system. So the reason I started talking about this is because I want everybody to understand it's not your big muscles that make you stronger. It's your metabolism, or that make you healthy. It's your metabolism that makes you healthy, not your six-pack abs. Your six-pack abs just mean you went to the gym. There's a lot of people with six-pack abs who get cancer and heart disease. So RFK looks great. You know who I'm talking about. RFK looks awesome without his shirt. He's always exercising without his shirt. So you can see his abs. You can see his muscles. I don't know why he wears jeans in the gym. I never seen anybody wear jeans in the gym, but he always wears jeans and no shirt in the gym because he knows that the image is going to be one of a big, strong, buff guy. That doesn't mean he's metabolically healthy. And that's an extremely important point to make. Not that it's not great to work out, because it is. Especially as we get older, we should all be working out. But what we want to focus on for longevity and health, to fight disease, to resist viral infections or whatever kind of bacterial infections, whatever's out there that strengthen the immune system, it's about your metabolism. The best things you could do for your metabolism involve the triangle of disease. In terms of the digestive system, work on digestive health. One of the best ways to work on digestive health is to stop eating, is to fast. I'm not going to belabor that point because we've talked about it a lot. But you can think about it if you understand that we're frying out with too much energy, why fasting is so beneficial. Fasting gives the body a metabolic break. For most of us, when was the last time we had a metabolic break? For most of us, we haven't given our body a metabolic break for more than 2 or 3 hours, maybe for our whole lives. So fasting gives your body a metabolic break, and it gives your body a physical break as well, because now the digestive system doesn't have to move. It doesn't have to utilize energy. And this is really important because those 2 points in the first 2 points in the triangle disease are about energy. And sometimes I even say, don't even worry about the adrenal thyroid complex, which is the third point. Just focus on the first 2 points. Why? Because the first 2 points are how energy gets into the system. So please understand, health is about an efficient delivery of energy into the system. By efficiency, I mean the right amount and the right usage. So the energy comes in and then it's delivered. Energy comes in through protein, fats, and carbohydrates. It's delivered with vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fatty acids. I'm simplifying a little bit, but that's the general picture. This is why micronutrient supplementation is so important. It allows the body to utilize the calories, the energy, the macronutrition. And that's why people say when they start a micronutrient supplement program, like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, you know this, what do they say? Yeah. I'm not as hungry. I don't eat as much. I lose weight. It's right there. It's hidden in plain sight. It's obvious. Why are they not eating as much? Why are they losing weight? Because now they can utilize the energy more efficiently. And that's why the combination of reducing your macros and increasing your micros is the ideal way to eat. We call that the CRON diet. Calorie restriction, optimum nutrition. CRON, the CRON diet. That's the best way to eat. And taking time off from food and reducing your calories is the only proven longevity stimulating health protocol. Only one that's been proven over and over again, I should say. It's probably other ones, but the only one that's been repeatedly shown to increase longevity is calorie restriction and intermittent fasting. Why? Because you're giving the body a metabolic break. You're slowing down the input of energy into the system. Now, so the first point I want to make is that you said something about the tragedy with your friend or your daughter's friend, who he ran, he was in the gym, he did all the right things, but he had cancer. He died of cancer at a very young age. He was clearly not healthy metabolically. Now, I'm sure some of it had to do with, what he did with the with the jab. I'm sure some of it had something to do with that, although you can't prove it. Clearly, there was something metabolically dysfunctional with it. Cancer is a metabolic disease. And you can take that to the people. Cancer is a disease of energy. Otto Warburg was a famous biophysicist who talked about it in the 1930s. I think he even actually won a Nobel Prize. Cancer is a sign that the body is metabolically dysfunctional. It's not healthy from a metabolic biochemical level. It's not smoking and your mother and your genes. That's not what causes cancer. That's idiotic from a biochemical perspective. Smoking's not good for you, but it's what the smoking does to the metabolism that causes the cancer. So when they say this causes cancer, that causes cancer, they're not really the cause of the cancer. They may be triggering the cause of the cancer, but the cause of the cancer is metabolic or biochemical dysfunction at the level of the cell. Now, you had one of the questions that you wanted me to talk about was about working out. And I hope nobody hears.
And the nutritional advice that we can give people who weight lift and work out, in gyms and stuff.
Right. So I hope nobody hears that it's, you don't want to work out. You do want to work out, but that's not the indicator of health. It's a must to work out. It's an absolute must, not because you want a six-pack ab, but because you want to exercise stimulates metabolism. Stress on the body makes the body healthier. That's kind of cool when you think about it. We live in a culture where we don't have any stress. Oh, you're stressing too much. Stop stressing. Bronie, when do you have the least amount of stress?
Probably when I'm sleeping.
Less. When do you have the least amount of stress?
When I'm sleeping as a rule.
No, less than that.
Oh, less than that.
Yeah, when do you have the least amount of stress?
No, when I'm feeling good.
When you're dead.
Oh, yes, okay. Well, then that's when you're permanently sleeping.
You're permanently sleeping. That's when you have the least amount of stress. My point is that stress is part and parcel of life. The living system grows via stress. That's why exercise is so important. In biochemistry, they call that hormesis, Hormesis. Hormesis is the idea that when the body is put under stress, specifically when cells are put under stress, they become more functional. When muscle tissue is stressed, it becomes bigger and stronger and better. When the heart is stressed, it becomes bigger and stronger and better. When the skin is stressed through exfoliation or laser or alpha hydroxy acids, it becomes bigger and stronger and better. When your brain is stressed, it becomes bigger and stronger and better. You don't want to get dementia when you get older? Do crossword puzzles. Learn a new language. Brush your teeth with an opposite hand. Memorize things. Study a new philosophy. Travel. Put new input. Put stress in your brain. You get more neural connections. This is how the body's built. So when you exercise, you're stressing the body. And in response to that stress, the body grows bigger and stronger and better if the raw material is present to drive the production of all the tissues that make you bigger and stronger and better. So it's not just the stimulation that's important. It's the nutrition that has to follow the stimulation, and there's two salient qualities or two salient points to this phenomenon. Point number one: after your body has been stressed, after you come home from the gym, or after you've done your crossword puzzles, or after you've had a stressful day, whatever the stressor is, after that stressor, you have a window of opportunity where your body will suck up those nutrients like a dry sponge sucks up water. After you come home from the gym is the best time to do your nutrition. The next best time is first thing in the morning, because during the night your body has worked and you're in a deficiency state. So through stress, the body becomes deficient in nutrients, and because a dry sponge sucks up water faster than a wet sponge, post-stress, you have a golden opportunity to dose the body, or for the skin. This is how I built my skincare business, by the way. After you stimulate your skin, you have a window of opportunity to drive topical nutrients into the skin. And if you look at my True Treatments, you'll see that's how the whole secret to it. It's like taking your skin to the gym and coming home to do your nutrients. After a system is stressed, it becomes maximally receptive to nutrition in the way a dry sponge sucks up more water than a wet sponge, or an empty cup holds more water than a full cup, whatever metaphor you want to use. You can picture how this happens.
Yeah.
The second salient point is, if you're not going to supplement when you come home from the gym, if you're not going to do your nutrients when you come home from the gym, don't go to the gym, because you're going to make matters worse. You're not going to help yourself, because after you go into the gym, now your body is in this deficiency state. You created a deficiency state. And if you don't replace it, now your body not only won't have the wherewithal in order to build new tissue, but it's going to be deficient in the nutrients that are important for the other systems in the body. You see my point here? There's two salient points. Number one, you have a golden opportunity to dose your body with nutrients, and you come home from the gym where it'll suck up those nutrients maximally. Point number two, if you don't do your nutrients, don't bother going to the gym, because you're only going to mess things up. And that's why previously, not so much these days, because athletes are becoming aware of the importance of nutrition, but 30, 40, 50 years ago, they didn't know about nutrition, and athletes would die earlier than non-athletes. Professional athletes had a shorter lifespan than average people because they were constantly burning out, but they weren't replacing those nutrients. So you've got a golden window of opportunity to dose your body with nutrients when you come home from the gym. So the question is, what are those nutrients? Well, there's the nutrients that are anabolic, that are building, and those are protein and fat. Well, first of all, there's the macronutrients. The macronutrients are protein, and to a certain extent fat, but the most important is going to be protein. That's your major building macronutrient. If you want to use longevity products, come home from the gym, get on your TMR. Now, TMR has other things in it. It's not only a protein drink, but it does have great protein. There's also the Fit Shake. I think it's called Fit Shake, right?
Yeah, the Fit Shake.
Fit Shake. There's also the Fit Shake, and you should have that when you come home from the gym. Now, longevity does not have creatine, but creatine is awesome stuff for everybody, particularly older folks. So you have to find yourself some creatine. Fats you don't have to worry about as much, because there's nobody has a deficiency in fat. But protein is very important, very anabolic, very building, particularly animal protein. For foods, eggs, meat, fish, these are very anabolic proteins. It turns out spinach is very anabolic. In fact, green leafies are very anabolic. Do you know who Popeye is? Popeye the Sailor?
Yes, I do. One of my favorite cartoons.
Right. Okay. So Popeye, did he eat steak to get strong?
No.
No, he didn't eat steak. What did he eat to get strong?
Spinach.
Spinach. Spinach is one of the most anabolic vegetables you could ever eat, building vegetables you could ever eat. Spinach not only contains nitrogen, and nitrogen is really the key for building anything, as any farmer knows, but spinach also contains a very important building chemical called ectosterone, which is super important for bodybuilding and for muscle development. So muscle building foods, green leafy vegetables, and protein, very important. But then there's the micronutrients and creatine. Then there's the micronutrients that are also important, and they're all really important, but there's some that stand out in importance. For example, if you're talking about longevity products, you want the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. The Healthy Bone and Joint Pack is specifically designed for building connective tissue. It is the connective tissue that feeds the muscle tissue. And it's the connective tissue that gives the muscle tissue the ability to move. It's the connective tissue that transmits the forces to the muscle tissue so it can move. So everything, the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. And if I was working out, I'd be taking extra glucogel. If you want to throw in some other things, collagen peptides probably are important. Ultimate enzymes are important for a couple of reasons. They'll help you get more value from your macronutrients, plus they're very anti-inflammatory. And then also the zero test is probably going to be helpful for you. Now, the second thing that's important for muscle development, and also and when I talk about muscle development, I don't want you just thinking gym rats. I also want you thinking elderly people who need to be doing exercise in order to not be frail. You don't have to go to the gym and lift mega amounts of weights, but you can do resistance training or push-ups or chin-ups or some kind of exercise, bands, exercise bands, something that provides resistance training. And all older folks, and by older folks, not me, 64 plus, you don't need a gym membership. You can do it from the comfort of your home with bands. And they have all kinds of little devices that you could use. You could buy them on Amazon for $5 or $10. And you could do them right while you're watching TV. But you want to put some kind of stress on the system. You want to put some kind of stress on the tissue. And this is for, for elderly folks. Elderly folks are especially dependent on resistance training and muscle development for graceful aging. It's not just about it's not just about having a six-pack and having, looking like a bodybuilder. It's about not being frail. And so there's also things that you want to avoid. And the most important is, guess what? Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar will throw off the body's ability to build. Sugar will throw off the body's ability to have strength, particularly when it comes for men. I get these questions all the time. What can I do for my testosterone? What can I do for my strength and virility as I get older? This from men. And there's lots of nutrients you can take, but you also want to make sure that you're not flooding your body with sugar and insulin. Keeping your sugar and insulin, point number 2 in the triangle of disease, is critical for hormone health. And the more body fat you're carrying, the more feminized you're going to be if you're a man, and the more toxic estrogen you're going to be producing if you're a woman. So the more body fat you're carrying, the less masculine you will be if you're a man, simply because you're going to be producing lots of female hormone. And if you're a woman, you're going to be running much higher risks for female hormone diseases, including cancer. Of course, fat comes from what? Calories. Putting too much energy into the system. When you put too much energy into the system that the body can't use, it stashes it away for a rainy day. Where does it stash it away? On our hips, on our butts, on our thighs, on our guts. All that represents excess energy. Next time you look at you or your friend or your husband or wife's gut or thighs or whatever it is, and there's body fat, that's excess energy that has been put into the body. Every time we eat more food than we need, we're putting excess energy into the body. And I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else, because I do it too. It's just a human thing to put energy into the body. So body fat is representative of excess energy. Excess energy comes into the body through calories. All of this represents an issue of eating, an eating disorder, if you will, or an eating disease, if you will, which is good news and bad news. It's good news because it's really easy to handle. You don't need a doctor. You don't need a drug. You just handle it the way you eat. It's bad news because we're hardwired. And so you got to go against evolution, thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions of years of evolution. And that's difficult to do. It's easy to do, but it's simple to do, but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? It's not complicated, but it's difficult. And so somebody asked Caroline, I just got a note.
Yeah, Caroline who sent the question through in the first place. So is this the same advice for pre-menstrual?
It's very difficult to be low in estrogen, despite the stupidity you will hear from your OBGYN, because estrogen is always made in body fat. Always. You're probably lower in estrogen, that's true, than you were when you were, young. That's probably true. But to have too little estrogen that's not really as much of a thing as too little progesterone. Progesterone is estrogen's balancer. Hormones have balance each other out. Progesterone and estrogen balance each other out. And progesterone will make your body more sensitized to estrogen. So really, progesterone is the hormone you want. Estrogen is always made in body fat. Progesterone is not made in body fat. Progesterone levels drop much more precipitously faster than estrogen levels. So the real problem is too much estrogen, not too little estrogen. So you want to be really respectful of estrogen. Estrogen is the most powerful of the steroid hormones. And we're talking about revving things up. That's what estrogen's job is to rev things up. It's to make things happen. Estrogen is, it's designed to make a baby. That's its main role, is to make a baby. So it speeds things up. That's why estrogen is associated with cancer. That's why estrogen is associated with inflammation. That's why estrogen is associated with immune issues, autoimmunity. That's why estrogen is associated with weight gain. All of these are things that rev you up. So they put lots of energy into the system. So you want to be very, very careful with estrogen. And then, as I said, for men, as they get older, they're making estrogen. I call this the Santa Claus effect, by the way, where men become, who are really virile and aggressive and strong and manly when they were in their teens and when they were younger, all of a sudden they get older, they become fat and jolly, like Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, Santa Claus is on the way, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. That's the Santa Claus effect. Santa Claus is definitely estrogenic. Santa Claus has been drinking lots of Coca-Cola. Do you know that Santa Claus, do you know the Santa Claus with the hat and the reindeer and all that stuff, the iconic image of Santa Claus? You know where that came from? Anybody know where that came? It's not in the Bible. No, it's not religious. It came from a Coca-Cola. It came from a Coca-Cola postcard in the 1930s.
Wow, really?
Yes, Coca-Cola invented Saint Nick with it. There was a Norwegian myth about it, but the iconic image of the beard and the red hat and all that stuff, that's Coca-Cola. And Santa Claus is a perfect icon of what happens when you drink a lot of Coca-Cola and eat a lot of, carbohydrates and sugary foods. You become fat and jolly. The Santa Claus effect. Ha ha.
And not take
out there. If you don't want to be Santa Claus, you guys, lose some body fat. And that's a good reason to do it. And also, by the way, when you're exercising, you're working out, you're also generating growth hormone. It's one of the best ways to generate growth hormone, and testosterone, building chemical. Testosterone is very anabolic stuff, obviously. And so you're generating testosterone, you're stimulating the production of testosterone, as well as growth hormone and other growth factors when you go to the gym. This is especially important for the connective tissue. The bone is connective tissue. The fascia and the tendons and the ligaments, these are all connective tissue. And so when we lift weights, when we work out, it's not only a muscle building procedure or process. It's not only a muscle building exercise that we're doing, it's also a connective tissue building exercise, because when the connective tissue is pressured, when there's pressure put on the connective tissue, resistance, if you will, put on the connective tissue, it generates electrical charges. It generates a specific kind of electricity called piezo, P-I-E-Z-O, piezo, which means pressure in Latin, piezoelectricity. So working out generates electrical charges in the connective tissue. Electrical charges structure the body. As we age, we blobify. You notice how we blobify? We become like blobs. When you're young, you're like, you got straight lines, and most people when they're younger, they look lean. As we get older, blobify. That blobification is a representation of the deterioration of the connective tissue, because it is the connective tissue that structures everything. It structures everything via physically, via structure, via protein fibers, but also electrically. Connective tissue is also, it's because it's electrical. So building connective tissue is the very essence of anti-aging. And everything we hate about getting older, from the weakness and the frailty to the hunched over appearance, to the wrinkles and the fine lines, to the blobification, to the heart disease, to the vascular disease, to the kidney disease, all represent breakdowns in connective tissue. The connective tissue gives you spring, puts a spring in your step. Do you ever break open a golf ball or a baseball, Bronie? I'm talking to Bronie.
No, I can't say that I have.
Okay, anybody out there ever tear apart a baseball or a golf ball? Anybody?
If you have, unmute.
Yes, I have. The golf ball's got lots of rubber bands in them.
What does it have? Say it again.
Rubber bands in them.
Rubber bands. What are the rubber bands? What do you have rubber bands in there for? Yeah, if you break open a baseball or a golf ball, you'll see a bunch of rubber bands. What?
Because it's spring.
Gives you spring. Well, guess what? Your whole body inside is wrapped around with rubber bands. But they're not called rubber bands, obviously, not rubber bands. They're called fascia. The fascia is a rubber band system inside the body that gives you spring. As we get older, that rubber band system deteriorates. And we lose our spring. Anybody out there over the age of 70 can relate? Lose your spring? We lose a spring. You know, when you're young, you have spring. We lose that. So building the connective tissue, the fascia is connective tissue, not to mention the cartilage and the tendons and the ligaments and the bone. The bone's connective tissue. When you talk about building connective tissue, what do we talk about? Protein, glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, vitamin C. There's no building connective tissue without vitamin C, which makes vitamin C the anti-aging vitamin. What do they get? What do you get, ladies, when you go to the doctor for your osteoporosis? Osteoporosis is a connective tissue disease. It's connective tissue deterioration. What do you get? You get calcium. That's not going to help you. You get estrogen. That's going to mess you up. Anybody ever think of giving you protein, collagen peptides, hyaluronic acid, glucogel caps, vitamin C? No. Also fats, by the way. Ultimate EFAs are very important for building connective tissue. You know, before Doc was the mineral doctor, he was the connective tissue doctor. And you know what his first product was? You know? Anybody know? The pig pack. The pig pack. Dr. Wallach was all about building the connective tissue. And, you know, we got into the minerals shortly after, and they're very important, obviously. But building the connective tissue that's the key, is building the connective tissue. Everybody out there, and exercise, one of the reasons why exercise is so important is because it helps you build connective tissue. The connective tissue, by the way, is like a computerized system. It stores information, just like a computer. It's an information processor. It's if there's any computer people out there, it's a semiconductor. That's a computer kind of word. If there's any electrical engineers or people understand that. And that's literal. The collagen acts like a semiconductor, and that makes it an information processor. It processes information. It stores information. And there's massage therapists. I don't know if we have massage therapists out there, but they'll tell you, when you massage people, sometimes they'll start crying on the massage table. Not because they're sad, but because you're releasing memories that are stored in the connective tissue.
Interesting.
It's a known phenomena. Your connective tissue stores information. And there's a lot of healthcare practitioners, including the famous Dr. Wilhelm Reich, who said cancer and other diseases are the result of the storage of disturbing memories and traumatic memories that are stored in the connective tissue. So building the connective tissue is extremely important. You do it from two directions. You want to build it from the stuff you're putting in, but also laying off of certain foods which break down connective tissue. Surprise, surprise. One of the most important foods that breaks down the connective tissue, sugar. There's a chemical reaction that happens between sugar and the connective tissue. It's called glycation. You may have heard that term. And so making sure you're keeping the blood sugar stable is very, very important, not only because of the fat situation we just talked about, but also as an anti-glycating strategy. One of the cool things about protein, your TMR shake, because I'm very fond, as you know, the TMR shake, but also your Fit Shake, is it's a natural way to hack into your sugar cravings. When you do enough TMR shake, you're not going to crave sugary foods. You're not even going to crave bread. When you do enough Fit Shake, the same thing. Protein can be used by the body for energy in a slow release fashion, in a sustained release fashion. So instead of giving you quick bursts of energy, it gives you gradual energy. Sometimes the body needs quick bursts of energy. You do need a certain amount of sugar, but we're way over sugarizing. And if you want to reduce your sugar intake, one of the best strategies is to eat more protein, particularly whey protein, which is nature's best protein, also egg protein, and then meat protein. And that's a natural way to hack into your sugar cravings. So the second thing, in addition to building anabolic nutrients, you also want to make sure that you're keeping your sugar stable. One of the things about sugar is, as you all know, when you eat sugar, your insulin goes up.
Yeah.
That, for a bodybuilder, is wonderful because insulin is anabolic. Insulin's building. Farmers, historically, I don't know if they do it anymore, but historically, they used to give their cattle insulin. So their cattle get bigger. When I was working out in the gym many years ago, I remember one gym in particular, there was a guy who would come once a week to driving a station wagon. He had a bunch of illegal insulin in the back of his station wagon, and all the bodybuilders would run out and get insulin from him because it was making him bigger and stronger. Insulin's anabolic. However, as we continuously eat sugar, eventually we start to experience something called insulin resistance. That's where our body doesn't listen to insulin anymore. And insulin being anabolic, insulin resistance is anti-anabolic. So over time, sugar will not only cause problems with glycation, it'll not only cause problems with estrogen and body fat, but it will also over time cause problems with building tissue and anabolic issues because of resistance, insulin resistance. For all of these reasons, keeping your calories down and getting on the healthy blood sugar pack is probably a good idea too. Now, interestingly, after you come home from the gym, doing a little bit of fruit juice or a little bit of fruit with your nutrients will support anabolism. Because insulin, one of insulin's jobs is as a feeding hormone. It opens up cells so nutrients can get into the cells. So a little bit of an insulin spiker with your protein, with your Beyond Tangy, with your creatine, etc., will improve the effects and the benefits that you get from all of these supplements via the little secretion of insulin. Insulin resistance will counteract all that. Now, somebody asked about creatine, what creatine does. Creatine does quite a few things, couple things. First of all, creatine neutralizes. It has a buffering power. It's a buffering agent. Creatine is, when you work out, your body secretes acid. Acid is very important. Acid stimulates growth, but you don't want to have too much acid. In fact, as we get older and as our body starts to experience the impacts of stress, we become acidic, as you probably have heard. Creatine has an acid neutralizing effect. It's a buffering system, creatine. The creatine molecule is a buffer. The second thing creatine does is it contains nitrogen. And nitrogen is an incredibly important, as we talked about earlier, building element. And bodybuilders are always focusing on what's called nitrogen retention versus nitrogen loss. So creatine acts like a source of nitrogen, and then creatine also is a source of arginine, which is not only a great source of nitrogen itself, but it's also, arginine is an important stimulator of anabolism. It's a very anabolic amino acid, especially when it comes to growth hormone. And by the way, arginine is one of the great supplements to take for burn victims, for people who have burns because of its anabolic properties. There's also a second connective tissue building amino acid, which may be arguably one of the most underappreciated, maybe the most underappreciated of all the amino acids, especially for building connective tissue. It's called glycine, Glycine. Glycine is unbelievably important for the connective tissue. The connective tissue is partially made of glycine. So glycine is found in not the kind of meat we eat, not the kind of, it's not found in steak really. It's found in the connective tissue, the tendons. The best way to get glycine from foods is bone broth. Steak contains muscle meat. Muscle meat is different from connective tissue meat. Connective tissue is the key. The connective tissue supports the muscle tissue. We're all getting plenty of the amino acids from steak, but we're not getting the amino acids that are found in oxtail soup or bone broth or pig's hooves or snouts, whatever they used to eat. You know, they used to eat all the connective tissue back in the day. That's what they all ate. With soup in it. And they made soup out of it. And all that contained the glycine. Creatine actually is a wonderful source of glycine, Glycine. Bonus, glycine is also very important for detoxification, for liver detoxification. So glycine's got multiple benefits, and a real sneaky, say sneaky, that's not probably the right word, but a hidden source of glycine is our ultimate enzymes. Did you know that? You probably say, where's the glycine in the ultimate enzymes? It's in the betaine. Betaine is trimethylglycine. It's a form of glycine. So the ultimate enzyme is a great way to get glycine. Glycine is, like I say, is one of arguably the most underappreciated amino acids. It's the smallest amino acid, but it's extremely important for building the connective tissue. And for ladies out there, or men too, but especially ladies, all these strategies for building connective tissue will reduce your risk of wrinkling, of getting wrinkles.
Oh,
so
very
just
good.
for vanity reasons.
Oh, look, Ben. Look, this has actually been a really, really good subject, because I also want to ask you, because I've had a sister-in-law who has been off work through various operations and stuff, cancer related. She's gone back to work. She's had a fall and torn her tendon. I think it's in her knee. Now,
All of this is everything we talked about here is for her.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Not
So
only that, but
would
also
she, they're saying she will need surgery to sew it back together.
probably. Yeah. But post-surgery, she wants to do all the stuff we're talking about.
What about doing pre-surgery, because they still are
pre-surgery too? Absolutely, pre-surgery, post. You're right, pre-surgery, post-surgery, absolutely. Once as soon as they put the scalpel in the skin, it's healing. So you want to have nutrients present so that the healing process can begin in the operating room. As soon as that scalpel cuts the tissue, if there's nutrients loaded in the system because you've been pre-treating or you've been pre-dosing, then the healing process will occur with much more facility. By the way, this reminds me of something. And I should say that for surgical procedures, everything we talked about goes double. It's great to be strong, just to be strong in the gym. But post-surgery, you're going to get better prognosis from your surgery. One of the things that happens to a lot of people, in fact, probably to most people, when they have surgical procedures, is the fascia will stick together as the tissue is healing, particularly if there's inflammation, if there's not enough nutrients present, the fascia will start to stick together, and this will form something called adhesions. So the fascia will adhere to each other. So they call them adhesions. You also may have heard the term scar tissue. Scar tissue is not quite adhesions, but it's similar. It's tissue that has formed in not a complete way. It's not complete tissue. So after surgical procedures, probably 80% of people are going to suffer from scar tissue and adhesions, and this will not only cause further disruptions that can lead to more injuries. It's not only going to accelerate the aging process, but it's going to reduce the likelihood of a successful operation, successful surgery. So keeping adhesions, preventing adhesions, and preventing the formation of scar tissue is very important. And all these nutritional strategies will do just that. Particularly staying away from sugar will help support healing to prevent adhesions and to prevent the formation of scar tissue. Now,
so do not give your friends chocolates when they're going to have surgery.
That's right. That's right. And also the ultimate enzymes are important for helping prevent the formation of scar tissue and adhesions. So all pre and post surgery patients should be using the ultimate enzymes. And we don't have it, and I hope we do have it someday. But we can make our own as distributors pre and post surgery kit, like the Healthy Start or pre and post surgery pack, I should say, like the Healthy Start pack and that's we should have a surgery pack. But we can make our own.
We should. Let's work on that. Okay. Well, we have other questions.
In the meantime, the Healthy Bone and Joint. The Healthy Bone and Joint pack in the okay. And the Fucoid Z also will help there too. There's one other thing that I was going to say here about, I forgot that was, if when people have surgeries or multiple surgeries and they haven't been taking care of themselves, they're almost always going to have connective tissue issues as they age. 5 surgeries?
You said 5 in the last year.
Who has?
My sister-in-law.
Yeah. The more when you have like that, especially in a short period of time like that, almost guaranteed you're going to have connective tissue problems. What kind of surgeries did you have? Female kind of thing?
Yes. Starting out with the cancer thing, and then one thing led to another. Some of them were through failed surgery.
Oh, that's a lot of that might have to do with the fact that she was malnourished when she went into surgery. If she didn't know what she was doing, that's very likely could happen. And the food they feed you in the hospital, that doesn't help. The ice cream and the sugar, the terrible food they feed you. That's a classic example. So there's a couple things you could do if you've had a lot of surgeries and you're really serious about it. A lot of times when people have a lot of surgeries, they'll just be in chronic pain the rest of their life because now they're think about what's happening when you have these adhesions is you can't move as well. The adhesions also they impair organ function, especially for women who have a hysterectomy. They'll impair intestinal function because things are starting to stick together. It's going to affect how the organs work. So not only is it an issue of movement, but it's also it can also affect the organs and how the organs function. It's a complete disaster inside the body. So for folks who are dealing with these kinds of, who've had a lot of surgeries and they're dealing with adhesions and they have scar tissue and they're in chronic pain and they've lost their flexibility, there's a type of body work, I'll say, called rolfing. And
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. Rolfing. It's
We had
awesome.
the one and
Oh,
only
you had a
Christy.
rolfer. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
We
right.
had her
Roll,
on.
yeah, Rolfing specializes in breaking up adhesions and scar tissue. And in fact, and I've been rolfed a lot. Rolfing has such a terrible reputation. I don't know if you know this, but rolfing has a terrible reputation for causing tremendous pain while people are rolfed. So the rolfer, and it is, I don't want to say agony, but it's very uncomfortable because what they do is they go in with their thumbs and they press to break up that connective tissue. Do you ever have somebody, Bronie, feel the back of your thigh right now? You know how when you pinch the back of your thigh, kind of like it doesn't feel so great, you don't want to do it?
No.
Well, imagine somebody pressing their thumbs right in there, in that thigh. And they do it inside your sinuses and your nose, they do it. And sometimes they'll do it in adhesions that have been there for decades. But guess what? Not only when you're done, after they give you 10 sessions, when you're done with your rolfing, not only do you feel awesome, all of a sudden you're like, woo, you got all this spring, all this flexibility, but you look different. You look amazing. It's the quintessential anti-aging body work that you could do. It reverses aging in terms of how your body is. So I cannot recommend rolfing more. And then the last thing I want to say about connective tissue is two hidden places or two unknown places or unrecognized places where connective tissue plays an important role is in the blood vessels and in the heart.
Yeah.
Connective tissue deteriorates. By the way, connective tissue deteriorates globally, systemically. It doesn't just deteriorate in your ankle or in your knee. It deteriorates the whole body. And you can tell if somebody has, by looking at somebody, I can tell if they're more prone towards wrinkles and osteoporosis by looking at by seeing how their connective tissue is manifesting. Somebody has a lot of wrinkles, they're prone towards osteoporosis. Somebody has osteoporosis, they're going to be prone towards wrinkles. Connective tissue also gives blood vessels their strength. And when the connective tissue deteriorates, and as I say, it deteriorates in the entire body, the blood vessels become weaker. When the blood vessels become weaker, the cells that line the inside of the blood vessels will start to secrete inflammatory factors. This will cause inflammation inside the blood vessels, and this inflammation is one of the reasons why cholesterol deposits occur. So in a way, cholesterol is not really, the cholesterol deposits and the plaques, they're a connective tissue problem. And so instead of stopping the production of cholesterol, the stupidest, if there's a doctor out there, it's the stupidest, biochemically ignorant health strategy to shut down your production of cholesterol. Idiotic from biochemistry 101. If you have cholesterol plaques that are forming, you want to consider that to be a connective tissue issue. The blood vessels are deteriorating. This can be exacerbated by all kinds of stuff, including digestive problem, leaky gut. It's a whole other story. The heart also sits on a framework of connective tissue. It sits on a skeleton of connective tissue. And once the connective tissue deteriorates, the connective tissue in the heart will also deteriorate. The connective tissue is one of the ways that the heart and other organs generate electrical charges. So when the connective tissue deteriorates, the electrical charges will deteriorate as well. And or the heart's ability to conduct electrical charges, and this is where arrhythmias come from and fibrillations come from, etc. So work on the connective tissue is also important for the vascular system in the heart, the entire cardiovascular system. And then the last thing, and this is really very fascinating, connective tissue also structures fluid. Fluid, water in particular, responds to the electricity that's being generated by the connective tissue. And so the water is structured electrically around the connective tissue. As the connective tissue deteriorates, that doesn't happen. And the body becomes less fluidized. It becomes desiccated, it dries out, and it becomes saggy as the fluids lose their structure. One of the things a real great strategy is to drink structured water. And the best form of structured water is going to be your Beyond Tangy Tangerine in a blender. As you're spinning Beyond Tangy Tangerine in a blender with water, it's becoming structured. Vegetable juice also is structured water. So ingesting structured water is also a way that you can improve water structure inside the body, but this is really the job of the connective tissue and also minerals. Ionic minerals are very important for structuring water. That's why spinning them around in a vortex in your Beyond Tang and Tangerine has a structuring effect. So making sure that you're getting enough minerals and then also building the connective tissue in addition to ingesting structured water is also important. So there's tons of stuff there. I got 9 minutes because I got to do another radio thing. I got to do a radio thing here.
Okay, well, we better go to Michelle. I know Karen's got questions and things, but Michelle asked me before the call if she could ask a question.
Hi, g'day there. I've got Sean
hi,
Sutton on the call. Sean, could you unmute yourself?
Where's Sean?
Yeah,
I can't. Oh, okay. Is this Sean? iPhone
Sean Sutton. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to give you a quick overview.
There you
Ben.
There you go. Okay. Wait.
Okay. So Sean has an aorta expanded by 10 millimeters, which happened after the, what shot.
Okay.
Also, his blood pressure went up when he'd already had perfect blood pressure the rest of his life. He's now on statins and blood pressure meds, and looking at his health evaluation, I think he's got a elevated blood sugar, and yeah. So
you're answering your own question here.
Yeah.
Now, Sean. Hi, Sean. I see Sean there. How you doing, buddy?
Good,
so
thank
you haven't. This is your first time on the call, right?
First time, mate. Yeah, yep.
Okay. We have a concept we call the triangle of disease, and we also have another concept where we say all disease is cell. Well, we say your diagnosis doesn't matter because it's all basically the same thing. What's happening to you is lots of different things, but your main problems are going to be located at the base of the triangle of disease, which is the digestive system and the blood sugar system. And whether you know it or not, you probably know it. You've had digestive problems your whole freaking life, probably since you were a little kid. Now, he's laughing. I'm not a psychic. I'm a pharmacist. I'm not Psychic Ben. I'm Pharmacist Ben. But I know you have because it's generic. Everybody, it's generic. It's not special. You're special. To your mother and to your friends, you're special. But biologically speaking, you're not special. Do you understand? It's everybody. It's generic.
Yep.
We got specialists for the endocrine system and the OB-GYNs and digestive and neurology and blah, blah, oncology and this and that and the other thing. It's all generic. The digestive system is the key because that's the first thing that breaks down. We call that the first point on the triangle of disease. The second point on the triangle of disease is the metabolic system, the blood sugar system, we'll say. And so those are where you need to work primarily. Now, in your case, because you look to be in your 50s, I'm assuming, or maybe 60s. How old are you, Sean? Okay, so in your case, you're probably also dealing with some adrenal issues, cortisol, et cetera. We're not going to go there just yet. Work on digestion and work on your blood sugar. Those are the two places to work. It'll change your life if you do this correctly.
Yep.
I would be working with foods, Michelle. I would be getting them on the whole food diary thing, and then also all the digestive support, including the ultimate enzymes. There's problem foods that you're ingesting. Secondly, you're holding on to energy. You got lots of energy coming in, but you don't, like I was talking about, lots of energy coming in, but your body's not utilizing the energy, so it's storing it. So that's the metabolic issue. Once that happens, heart disease is just a quick jump. And they'll work here at the heart disease level, but they won't work here where the cause is. And so you will change your life with the healthy blood sugar pack. And you got to put together, Michelle, the healthy blood sugar pack and the healthy brain and heart pack. You have to put that together. And then also digestive support. I would be working digestion right away. You got to be clogged up. I'm guessing you're clogged up. That's what it would appear. So you got to work on that. For lots of different reasons. And one of the best things you could do is start to practice intermittent fasting, caloric restriction, laying off of food, like stop eating at 4 o'clock, start eating at 12 the next day kind of thing, and only eating between 12 and 4, kind of puzzle it out. You'll find that when you stop eating or go a day, go at 24 hours or even 14 hours or something without eating, you'll find it's easier for you to pass food through your digestive system and out your bowels. When we're constantly food in our system, it's hard for the body to eliminate it. So that'll help there. You're going to want the nightly essence, probably I-26. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Michelle, you're going to want to work with him and see where his food problems are, and I'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah.
And then as far as the micronutrients go, as I say, the healthy brain and heart pack in combination with the healthy blood sugar pack.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thanks, Ben.
That sounds good.
Thank you so
for
much.
you, Sean.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Yep.
Michelle's got it all together there, and
Yep.
the
We'll
pharmacist
chat.
is always here to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can do one more, and then I got to hop. on this
Okay,
radio show.
and Karen's room. Karen has questions there in the chat. Keith would like
Yes.
to know: is there an alternative to compressant socks while on a plane?
If you need compression socks, you got a circulatory problem and a connective tissue problem down there too. Varicose veins and venous problems, and these are the circulatory system's obviously circulatory. It's a circle. Starts at the heart, goes all the way around, comes back to the heart. The down trip from the heart, there's a muscle, there's a pump. On the up trip, there's no pump. So the up trip depends on muscular movement, and it depends on the strength of the veins, the venous system. As that venous system deteriorates, because it's made of connective tissue too, and as that deteriorates, and as the muscles become weaker or sedentary, the blood doesn't. That's why plane is so important, because you're sitting on a plane for 8 hours or however long it is. The upward phase of the circle will drop. It'll sink. It doesn't have force to go up. That sinking manifests itself as varicose veins, which is why you wear compression socks, and hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are like varicose veins. Varicose veins are like hemorrhoids. Remember, it's all the same thing. All generic here. It's all plumbing, really. You know, if you can understand your toilet, you can understand a lot of how your body works. It's plumbing. It's hemodynamics, fluid dynamics, they say. And so it's a sinking. So what do? Well, first of all, in the long term, you're going to start to build your connective tissue. You also want to make sure that you're exercising. That's also very important. Remember, being sedentary, being pregnant, if you're a truck driver, you're sitting a lot, all that kind of stuff. Those are the people who get the varicose veins and the hemorrhoids, because they're not moving. So making sure that you're moving is very important, and making sure that you're using connective tissue building strategies is also important. And then also keeping your blood clean, making sure your blood is clean. That means from a leaky gut. Clean blood comes from a leaky gut, and certainly not injecting things into your blood. That's also very important. So I'd be doing connective tissue, I'd be working on leaky gut, and I would be working on exercise, moving the body around. Compression socks may be necessary for you. However, if you're on like a 10-hour flight or 12-hour flight and you haven't done all the other stuff yet, and you're like flying out tomorrow or next week or something, you may have to use the compression socks, but your goal should be for next year when you fly out again, not to have to wear compression socks.
Oh, very good. And then
Okay.
very quickly, Liz in Karen's room would like to know, do you know where Youngevity's selenium comes from?
Dirt, where all selenium comes from. Minerals, it's mineral. Where do minerals come from? They don't come from the air. They're in the dirt. These are soil minerals. Youngevity does soil minerals. Selenium, and the ultimate selenium is also mined. It's probably mined. It's not like from Brazil nuts, if that's what you're thinking. All minerals aren't, human beings don't make minerals. God makes minerals. And so they're going to either be found in the rock, in the earth, or they're going to be found in plants or animals that ate them.
So I'm guessing part from the plant-based part, from the mineral mine that Youngevity owns.
Sorry, can I just ask the question, because Dr. Shasta said he made it originally from mustard seeds. We got our selenium from the mustard.
You don't make selenium, first of all, but it is found it's found everywhere. It's found throughout nature. Brazil nuts are nature's best source, but here's the problem: mustard seeds and Brazil nuts and all the places where you get selenium, the foods where you get selenium, that depends on selenium being in the soil. So the mustard.
They used to put our minerals in the soil. They put our minerals in the soil, and they grew the mustard.
I see. So he grows his own mustard seeds.
Well, I thought that's where we got it from, because they're mates, aren't they, Dr. Wallach and Shasta?
I'm having a hard time hearing this person, so I'm not. exactly sure what you're saying, but
she's
if you're
saying
saying
that
what,
Crowder and Wallach were mates, and so she's saying that
Originally.
that's where she thought that longevity got it from him
From
growing.
plant-derived selenium.
well,
Plant- yeah.
there's two kinds of minerals, and this is we'll have to say this for next week, but I'm just going to say this. There's two kinds of minerals. There's lots of kinds of minerals, but what we're talking about here is two major kinds of minerals. One is rock minerals, which are salt. Technically, they call them salt minerals, but they're rock minerals, like selenium sulfide, for example, which is the major form of selenium. And then there's organically bound selenium that has something like an amino acid tied to it or a plant material tied to it. Those are called chelated minerals or plant-derived minerals. Most of Youngevit's minerals, when they talk about plant-derived minerals, are found in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the mineral drink. What's that called? The mineral drink, the herbal rainforest. All, the bases. Those are plant-derived minerals. But the zinc and the selenium, the zinc FX and the ultimate selenium and the ultimate MSM, or not the ultimate MSM, but the ultimate selenium, the ultimate zinc. What other minerals do we have? The osteomag. Those are not plant-derived. I shouldn't say the osteomag. I'm not sure about the osteomag. Those are rock minerals, like selenium. I think it's selenium sulfide. So you want to make a distinction there. You're going to get colloidal selenium or plant-derived selenium in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but that's not going to give you the dose of selenium that you need. You're going to get plant-derived or colloidal zinc in your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but that's not going to give you the amount of zinc that you need. Are you with me here?
Yeah.
So you need. So that's why, to kind of bump up the amount to get you a good dose, the ultimate selenium, the ultimate zinc, and there's probably a few other minerals. Those are rock minerals, just to get you the right dose, which you're not going to get in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine plant-derived minerals. You're not going to get the high dose. What you're going to get in the plant-derived minerals is a couple things. First of all, you're going to get utilization. The body can utilize the colloidal minerals. It can also, the cells can utilize the ionic minerals that are in the beverage. So those can be utilized very well. Plus they're well-rounded. You're getting like 80 minerals in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That's pretty incredible. You're getting 8 different plant-derived minerals in there. That's amazing. But you're not getting like the 15 or the I should say like 600 micrograms or 50 milligrams of the zinc, selenium, or the zinc that you need in there. So you want to take those extra. Those are not going to be plant-derived.
Are they going to be absorbable though when they're
Absolutely, they're absorbable because, and we know this because you get benefits from it. For example, if you get cold sores and you start taking your ultimate selenium, you're either not going to get as many you're not going to get cold sores, you're not going to get as many cold sores. If you have skin problems, and the skin is really a good indicator of the benefits that you're getting because the skin turns over so fast and deficiencies show up so fast, you're going to notice benefits from it. So yes, absolutely, you'll get absorption. It won't be like plant-derived mineral absorption, but you're going to get a higher dose, and that's going to compensate for the reduced absorption. Make sense? I can't see the person. I can't even hear the person.
Yeah, I think she said yes.
Okay, good. Okay. All right.
Say you can overdose with selenium, but if that's plant-derived, it's probably not possible to overdose, is it? It's
Say that again. Is it possible to overdose?
There are people
You can't overdose on
selenium, but
plant-derived minerals. You cannot overdose on plant-derived minerals. There's no toxicity of plant-derived minerals. You can eat all the plant-derived minerals you want. But with selenium, with the rock minerals, you got to be a little bit more careful, particularly selenium and zinc. They're not going to kill you probably, but they can disturb chemistry. Selenium in particular is one of the stronger ones. If you look at the periodic table, I don't want to get too wonky on you guys, but if you look at the periodic table, the middle of the periodic table, they call transition elements. And they include things like zinc and selenium and copper and iron, nickel. There's a few of them. Actually, there's a lot of them, but the really important ones, there's only about 8 or 9 of them. But there's a lot of these transition elements, and they're all very powerful and very medicinal. And they call them transition because they bounce around. A transition means they transit from one thing to another. And this bouncing around makes them very, very stable, very, very unstable. And that makes them pretty tricky to work with. So you don't want to take too much zinc, you don't want to take too much selenium, you don't want to take too much nickel, you don't want to take too much copper, you don't want to take too much iron, you don't want to take too much of these transition metals when they're in the rock form. In the colloidal form, ionic form, no worries. That's the beauty of it. in the colloidal form, I should say. That's the beauty of plant-derived minerals, is you don't have to worry about it. Not only are they not toxic, they detoxify. They actually clean out the bad stuff. They're detoxifying. All right, I got to go.
Okay, so we'll close it out there. Thank you, Ben, for that. And as I ask
Yes.
everyone nicely here in Bronie's world to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you are taking care of your health and getting your 90 essential nutrients, you will have a very Merry Christmas, and you will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and a step very brave. God bless you all. We'll catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's world. Bye, everyone. Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you, Bronie, and thank you, Pharmacist Ben.
You're welcome. Bye now.